In the burning desert of Makkah, under the scorching Arabian sun, a man lay on the hot sand with a massive boulder on his chest, unable to move, unable to breathe properly, his back burning against the ground, his chest crushed under the weight of the rock. And all they wanted was one word. Just say the names of the idols. Just deny this new religion called Islam. Just say it and all the pain will stop. But he refused. Instead, from his cracked and bleeding lips came just one word. Over and over again. Ahad, Ahad, Ahad. One, one, one. Allah is one. His name was Bilal ibn Rabah. And his story is one of the greatest stories ever told in the history of mankind. Bilal was born into slavery in Makkah. His mother was an Abyssinian slave. He had no freedom, no rights, no status in society. In the eyes of the people of Makkah he was worth nothing. But in the eyes of Allah, he was everything. When the message of Islam reached Makkah, Bilal heard it, and something moved inside his heart. He had spent his entire life as a slave to human beings. And now someone was telling him there was only one true master. One true Lord. Allah alone. He accepted Islam immediately, with his whole heart, without hesitation. But his master Umayyah ibn Khalaf was one of the most powerful and cruel men in Makkah. When he found out that his slave had accepted Islam, he was furious. The torture began. Every day Umayyah would drag Bilal out into the desert at the hottest part of the day. He would make him lie on the burning sand. Then he would place a massive boulder on his chest. The weight was crushing. The heat was unbearable. The sand burned his skin like fire. Then Umayyah would stand over him and say, "Deny Muhammad. Deny Islam. Say the names of our gods. And this will all stop." And every single time, with the boulder on his chest, with the sun burning down on him, with barely enough breath to speak, Bilal would say the same thing. Ahad, Ahad, one, one. The companions of the Prophet would sometimes pass by and see Bilal being tortured. They would say, "Ahad Bilal, Ahad," as if to encourage him, to remind him, "Keep saying it, keep holding on." The Prophet Muhammad heard about what was happening to Bilal, and it broke his heart. He could not bear to see this man suffer for the sake of Allah. But he did not yet have the power to free every slave in Makkah. One day Abu Bakr as-Siddiq saw Bilal being tortured. He could not walk away. He went straight to Umayyah and said, "How much do you want for him?" Umayyah laughed. He thought Abu Bakr was desperate. So he named an enormous price. Far more than Bilal was worth as a slave. Abu Bakr paid every single dirham without hesitation. Bilal was free. When the Prophet heard what Abu Bakr had done, he said, "He is our brother Abu Bakr." Bilal went from being a tortured slave in the desert to a free man walking beside the greatest human being who ever lived. And then something even more beautiful happened. When the Muslims built the first masjid in Medina, the Prophet needed someone to call the people to prayer. This was a new thing in Islam. The adhan, the call to prayer. And the Prophet chose Bilal. The man who had been tortured for saying Ahad was now chosen to call the entire city to worship Allah. Bilal climbed to the highest point, and for the first time in history the words of the adhan rang out over Medina. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allah is the greatest. Allah is the greatest. His voice was so powerful, so beautiful, so full of conviction. The Prophet loved the sound of Bilal's adhan more than anything. The companions said when Bilal called the adhan, the whole city would stop. People would come out of their homes. Their hearts would soften. Their eyes would fill with tears. There was something in his voice that was unlike anything they had ever heard. Because this was not just a voice calling people to prayer. This was the voice of a man who had been tortured for his faith, who had suffered in the burning desert saying Ahad Ahad, who had been crushed under a boulder rather than deny Allah even once. When he said Allahu Akbar, he meant every single letter with his whole soul. Years passed. The Prophet grew older. And then came the day that broke the heart of every companion. The Prophet Muhammad passed away. After that day Bilal could never call the adhan again. Every time he tried he would reach the part where he said Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. I bear witness that Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. And he would break down completely. Overcome with grief. Unable to continue. He left Medina. He could not bear to be in the city without the Prophet. He went to Syria and lived there for the rest of his life. But one night he had a dream. He saw the Prophet, and the Prophet said to him, "Why have you stayed away from us so long, O Bilal?" Bilal woke up weeping. He traveled immediately to Medina, to the grave of the Prophet. He stood there and wept for a long time. Then Hassan and Hussein, the grandsons of the Prophet, came to him. They were young, and they asked him, "O Bilal, we have never heard the adhan the way our grandfather used to love it. Will you call it for us one more time?" Bilal could not refuse them. They were the beloved grandsons of the Prophet. He climbed up, and he began, "Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar." The people of Medina heard his voice. They had not heard it since the Prophet had died. They came rushing out of their homes. Men, women, children, everyone. And when Bilal reached the words Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, the entire city of Medina wept. They said that day was the day they cried the most since the death of the Prophet himself. Bilal could not finish. His voice broke completely. He was weeping. The people were weeping. Medina was weeping. This was the last adhan Bilal ever called in his life. Bilal ibn Rabah, the slave who said Ahad when they tried to break him. The freed man who stood beside the Prophet. The voice of Islam whose adhan made an entire city cry. He died in Damascus. And his last words as he was dying were words of joy. Not fear. He said, "Tomorrow I will meet the beloved ones. Tomorrow I will meet Muhammad and his companions." May Allah have mercy on Bilal ibn Rabah. May Allah be pleased with him. And may Allah reunite us all with him and with the Prophet in Jannah. If this story moved you, send salawat on the Prophet right now. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. And share this with every Muslim you know, so that the story of Bilal lives on, just as he lived for the sake of Ahad. 1. Allah is one. Ameen.